So we've had a lot of interest and advice on networking 101, how to be purposeful and intentional in your networking. There's a lot of dialogue within the business community about the importance of mentorship and sponsorship and advocating for your own career. But a lot of women in the C-suite attribute their success, some of it, to the ability to network, to meet the right people at the right time along the way. And we've had a lot of feedback on, well, how do I do that? How do I make sure that I get into those rooms, introduce myself in a way that leaves that great impression so that I'm well positioned to follow up, to connect, to engage, to discuss, and build out my own network. So we're delighted today to get into networking
Yes, and
101.
Nuvyn, you are the queen of networking, and I envy your ability to just work a room. But I have to say, personally, I feel like I'm better one-on-one from a networking perspective, but I also can honestly say that I have not had a job in over a decade, and now I'm dating myself, but that I did not get through someone in my network. So I can't recall a time where I just applied for a job and got an interview. It's all about networking. So can you give us your number one top thing that you do when you walk into an event or a spot where you've got it turned on?
I am an extrovert to the extreme. So I enjoy and I get my energy from being in a group of people. So it brings me joy and it recharges my batteries. So when I am going to an event, I'll do a lot of research before I go on trying to find out who's going to be in the room, their background, are there opportunities for me to connect with someone about something personally or professionally? So the number one thing is do your research. Know who you are attempting to see and connect with when you go into places with the intention to network and to help build your own circle of influence, if you will.
I would say that is very interesting. I identify as a social introvert. I'm very much an introvert, so this is an interesting conversation with different approaches. But I as well will do my research, and I think something that actually surprises me about some of our events, like Lunch with a Leader, my expectation and my approach would be if I was attending an event like that, I would have connected with the leader already on LinkedIn. And then I'm walking into the room and maybe they've already seen my name. I just think that preparing yourself in advance is so helpful in feeling less nervous and more comfortable and able to approach somebody. But even if you haven't done that, being the first to introduce yourself to somebody, even if you don't know who they are, is always just like a very welcoming approach to opening up that networking ability.
And I think nothing happens by chance. And so if you want to make something happen, you have to own it and you have to see it through. So if you're going to a cocktail reception, an event, be purposeful with what you are trying to achieve. If it is to secure a follow-up meeting with someone about XYZ or something that you've wanted to connect with them about, or something interesting they said, or there's someone whom you admire and you would just like to get to know them better, before you go, say, I would love to follow up with you to discuss ... or your experience in ... inspires me along my journey of XYZ. And then make sure you're actually following up. Sometimes I'll go to an event and then immediately I'll get an email from someone saying, oh, it was great to meet you. I'd love to have coffee. And I'm like, you meet like 50 or 100 people. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So before you go, connect with someone and say, I'm going to follow up with you because I would love to touch base about, and then be specific about what that is. That's another
great
networking hack.
And if you go to an event and you're not feeling it, like, will you still go to an event or a networking scenario, if you're just like, "I don't wanna do this. I am not in the mood," will you actually still go?
I am always feeling it. I never not want to go out and meet people, honestly. Like, there's sometimes I'm like, "You know what? I'm only gonna go for, like, 45 minutes, and I'll stick to that," but I thrive on that. I really do, and something always, surprises me, or you'll meet some really amazing people that perhaps otherwise wouldn't have
Yeah, it's
crossed
so
your
true,
path.
and I think these events are so great, post-COVID, post-pandemic to really just connect in person because again, like I said at the beginning, I feel like I'm much better one-on-one, and that extends to, I'm much better off camera.
But you're so good at the podcast. I think also an interesting analogy that I've heard recently is this concept of building your own board. So if you were to look at your professional career and life and say, how do I fill out my board? So, from whom do I receive the best advice, the healthiest perspective, the most valuable insight? And how are you kind of looking at your career as I need a board to help advise and guide me on this? And knowing that you have people within your network that you can go to with the intention of getting a certain professional perspective that is valuable to you as you continue on your
Yeah, I've
professional
heard about this
journey.
concept talked about as like a portfolio of mentors because one single mentor is not going to be able to help you with all aspects of your life or your career. And so having that portfolio of individuals that you can call with specific topics in mind is really helpful. And those people also have a reason and a season. And so you might not have the same people on your board or in your portfolio forever. And so yeah, always going out, meeting new people, and adapting who those people you're connecting with is.
And I think this concept of mentorship and this request for, will you be my mentor? That's a big ask. I've never formally asked someone to be my mentor. I have a lot of mentors and I let them know that I appreciate their mentorship, but I don't know if it is a generational thing, but people are craving mentorship and a mentor. And I've I've heard people say, "Oh, I really want to ask so and so to be my mentor." And I sometimes think to myself like, "Do you know them? Do you know how like being a mentor is a big ask." So, um I am always a fan of like intentional cultivation of a professional relationship. What do you need this person for? What is your specific ask? So, same when you get those random emails of like, it was great to meet you, would love to go for coffee sometime. And sometimes I'm like, about what? What do you do you want
Pick your
to
brain. They want to pick your brain.
what do you wanna talk about? Like, would love to, and so, also being knowledgeable that if you're asking a busy person for their time, be respectful of that time with a specific ask. "I'd love to go for coffee and seek your advice on da 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 da." So, I think that remains true with this concept of networking. It's intentional, it's purposeful, and it's specific.
Yeah, and I think to your point about asking someone to formally mentor you, if you take the approach of that building, cultivating professional relationships, it's about a relationship, not about a mentor. And so stop thinking about having a mentor. If someone is in fact mentoring you, you're allowed to say that that person is your mentor. But you don't have to formally ask them that and focus more on the cultivation of the relationship and the fact that maybe you have that ability to call that person and ask for their advice.
There's a great adage that have used a lot in philanthropy, and I think it holds true to many aspects of personal interactions and connections. And that's philanthropically, if you ask for money, you get advice. And if you ask for advice, you get money. And people love to give their advice. And so even asking someone, I value who, in your head, you're thinking, I value who you are. I'd love your advice on how to navigate XYZ. That's a I would love to be on the receiving end on that kind of email rather than the random, would love to go for coffee. I'm already over caffeinated. I don't have time for coffee, but I'll give my advice.
Yeah, it's like building your own business case, right? You don't wanna just ask someone to pick their brain because that's an overwhelming request to receive, but if someone's very specific and building that case for a conversation, I think everybody loves talking about themselves. So, it's an easy yes when you can do that.
I also find it's helpful to remind people where you last connected with them. So oftentimes, and we're in a city with a lot of networking events, a lot of people are out multiple times a week. And so I often will go up to someone, and if you can tell from the look in their eyes, they're like, I think I know you, but I don't know from where. It's incumbent upon you to be like, I'm Nuvyn. It was wonderful to connect with you at blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, that's right. So that's another networking hack, is to remind the person where last you connected with them.
Yes, and conversely, actually, because I'm the kind of person who's like, I recognize your face. And so I'm going to upfront, I'm going to say, I recognize you. I know that we've met before. I find that's a really friendly approach to a conversation where instead of saying like, oh, do I know that person? I'm not sure. You're just being friendly and open. And it's like, hey, I've met you before. It's great to see you. And maybe that person remembers where you saw each other last or not. And maybe you don't know them, but at least you started the conversation.
Yeah, that's a great line, Alex. I feel like our networking hacks is soon gonna merge into how to
Yeah.
meet people 101 hacks.
Don't I know
Don't I know
you?
you from
How
somewhere?
to
You
make
look
friends.
familiar. The Quiet Part Out Loud is produced by Access Connects and brought to you by. Oh, wait, is there a sponsorship opportunity there? Learn more at accessconnects.com.